Hey there everyone, hope you're all having a fantastic day out there. Today, I got something exciting for you. I have a secret acoustic, don't tell anybody, tuning. Actually, tell everyone you want. So if you're like me and you really just, I hate tuning an entire guitar, completely different for an open tuning, but sometimes you gotta. But I found a solution. I have this tuning that you really only have to change 2 strings, and there's little to no learning curve to it. So we're gonna jump on this one. I think I found our solution. So before we go hog wild on this here tuning, let me go ahead and show you exactly what it is. I call it double drop D. But what I mean by double drop D is basically I'm taking my E, my low E, and my high E, and dropping them both to D. And since we're doing that, there's no learning curve, really, because you already have a D string. If you know how to navigate your scale, you're golden already. So go ahead and tune your guitar to D, A, D, G, B, D, and let's get it, y'all. Woo! Alright, so first things first is you want to start really simple when you get into a new tuning. So like I said, you got your guitar all tuned up, you're ready to go at this point. And if you want tabs for this lesson, you can snag those down below. And also something new that I'm doing, I wanted to throw in here real quick. I'll throw the whole jam video at the end of this one, but I did a little intro jam the other week that had this tuning in it. Well, I'm going to start tabbing out one of these songs every single month for all the channel members. So if you want to become a channel member, you can have that link down below as well, and you're going to get full tabs for some of these songs that I'm doing. So like I said, let's start real simple. I'm going to show you guys how to play a bunch of different D chords. D5, D sus2, D major, D minor, all that kind of stuff we're going to break down, and then we're going to spice it up here in just a minute. So let's start off with, if you did your normal, I call it the AC/DC D chord, but basically if you're holding down 2nd fret on the G and then 3rd fret on the B, and you strummed from the D string down. Okay? Well now, before that would have been a D sus2, but you gotta remember we tuned that high E string down a full step, so now this is actually just a D5. There's no 3rd, no 2nd, nothing. We either had a root and a 5th the whole way through. And I like it because it has such a big sound. You know, huge, huge D5 sound to it. Now, what's next is we're going to do what would normally have been our D major chord shape. Well, it's not a D major anymore. Okay, so go ahead and put your middle finger down on 2nd fret of the B, like you would have, like I said, for your good old D major. Well, now that is your D sus2. Okay? Okay? If you put your pinky finger down, what would have been D sus4 is now D minor, okay? Okay, so you got to remember these are all changing and altering the way that you have to play some chords. But if you just know what these simple notes are happening on the high E string, which is now a D, so, okay, well if we did it here, well, there's our D major. So let's talk about how you play this D major chord. So it's going to go open D, 2nd fret on the G, 3rd fret on the B, 4th fret on the high E string. And you might be like, well, Robert, why would you even bother tuning it to this tuning? Well, there's some advantages to it. Like I said, on that little song I wrote last week, the reason why I even tuned it down, because I needed to do this. I wanted that little bend on it, and the only way you could do that in standard tuning was to bend 1st fret, which was not happening. My index finger was not liking that bend, so I tuned it down and brought that note up to here. And if you know how to, like I said, play a normal drop D tuning, well, this is no different. Like navigating it, it becomes very simple because it's what I already know how to do. I just kind of like have to alter the way I'm thinking of a couple things, but overall, like when I discovered this tuning, I picked up on it right away. There was really no learning curve to it. I was just like, oh, cool, and it made me want to play music. We left off doing the D major, make it a D sus4. Well, you just add your pinky on the 5th fret. Okay, so you have sus4, D major, D minor, D sus2, D5, all by literally changing one note of the chord. And the final one I wanted to show you here was this one, which is another D major, because it's going to segue into this next little kind of like spicier chord section that we're going to do here in just a second. And all I'm doing is barring 7th fret on the G, B, and the high E string. Okay, and that's very powerful because before that would have been a minor chord, but now, thanks to dropping this one string down, this is a major chord now. So think about how cool that is. We've literally changed the dynamic of our normal chord. So basically our chord knowledge is doubled. You just have to be able to identify what's happening. All right, now real quick, I wanted to throw this in here because this section I think is really crucial to understanding how the notes are working, is if you know your D major scale. If you know your D major scale, you have the blueprint to travel around. So let's just do it on our D string. So it's going to go open 2, 4, 5. It's the whole do, re, mi, fa, you know. Okay, next is going to be 7 on the D, then 9, 11, and then 12. Now what's making this so powerful for you is the fact that you have 3 D strings. You know, D, D, D. So it's so easy. Now we've literally knocked out 3 of the strings. So just that little bit of theory knowledge tucked in there with this new tuning, boom, it opens up so much stuff for you. And to me, it just made it easy to jump around, get right into it, and start playing music. And that's really the whole point of it, right? All right, now hunting the thirds. This is a huge thing that I do. I recommend it for anyone, especially if I'm in new tuning. So something like this, as I always try to find the third of the chord. That way I at least know the color of it. So what I wanted to do here was show you guys how much you can add color or variety to stuff just by moving the third around, you know, and show you a couple other cool, just kind of like, you know, funky chords in this tuning. And it's kind of what we ended with the last one. So you notice how I was showing you that if you just barred your finger across the 7th fret on the, well, it's the high E string, but now it's a D, but I'm going to still call it a high E. The E, the B, and the G, and play an open D string with it, that is a D major chord, okay? Now here's what's fascinating about that, to me anyways, is if you know that, you know, we need to know what our third is in the key of D. So if you remember your D major scale, okay, there's our third. It's the third note of the scale. It is an F sharp note. So find our F sharp note in this. F sharp, right there. So the 7th fret on the B string is our third. So right now it's a major third. So maybe we don't want a major chord here. Maybe we want a minor chord. Let's drop our third. Let's flatten it. We're going to take it down a half step. Whole different vibe all of a sudden. Okay? So same chord, but I flatten the third. Now we have a D minor chord. Let's keep going. Let's flatten it again. Now we have one of my favorite chords. I love sus2 and add 9 chords and add, you know, I'll show you an add 11 here in a minute too, and then a sus4. But like I said, if you take this chord, pretty cool little shape here. And to me, like I said, you can't help but, you know, experiment with it. And what happens is sometimes this dropping that high E string down to the D for this tuning alleviates the need for some of these really big stretched out chords. Now all of a sudden they're real close. So like I said, we have that. Now we have D major, D minor, D sus2. Well, what's right in front of your major third? That's your 4. So if you did it like this, or maybe it's just your normal D chord shape, now we have a D sus4 chord. Look at how many chords. We're already expanding, and it's a new tuning. This is different. Things are laid out differently, and yet we're using our ear, using a little bit of theory knowledge. Not much. We're just moving that third around. Okay? Sorry, my hair keeps tickling my nose. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'll show you this one. You know, I always thought this was just a cool chord to play. I'm going to add 11. So I'm just holding down 7 on the D and the G, and then I'm going to go to 5 on the high E string. Now, normally to play this chord, I would have to reach all the way back to the 3rd fret. You know, but since I have the string tuned down, look how easy it is. It opens up stuff. It's a really fascinating, simple tuning. The other one I wanted to show you was that little break in the song when I went, Okay, well this chord right here, what is that chord? Your ear should usually be able to tell you what that is. That's a good old major 7. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm holding down 6 on the G, okay, 7 on the B, and 7 on high E string. Okay, think of it, it's just your D major 7. You know, right there. whole different kind of like texture and inversion of the chord. So it's really fascinating how you can move these around. Just hunt your third. I'm telling you, that's all you got to do. Find those thirds. The final thing I'm going to leave you off with here is, and this is, again, as soon as I find my thirds, I also look for movable chord shapes. I think it's the easiest way to get inspired, especially in a new tuning. And I'm going to show you two of them that are real simple to move around. Obviously, any chord is movable. You just have to, figure out how to adapt it. But these two I found were very inspiring and very movable. So the first one is actually what I started with that song. Now what this is, it's a D7 sus4, okay? So I just love the way this chord sounds. You notice I lean on the sus chords a lot, the sus2s and sus4s. I just love the addition of, if you're adding a 9 or something of that caliber in there. But what I'm doing here is I'm just holding down 5th fret on the G, 3rd fret on the B, and then 5th fret on the high E string. Okay? So that's your chord. I'm playing the open D string with it as well, of course. Now, what's cool is you move it up too. Move it down. And I've just found chords that carry so much texture to them are really good movable shapes, especially this one because you don't have to change anything. It's almost like a Hendrixy style of chord. And then the other chord I wanted to show you was kind of the barring one that we already did for the major chord. Well, it's a D major here, but everywhere you move it does not mean that it's a D major chord there. Like when I did it down here, I resolved it to a D major, but I was holding down 3rd fret on the G, B, and the high E string, open D string. It's actually a D minor flat 5, I think is what it is. But I'm almost positive it's a D minor flat 5. And then, like I said, you can move this everywhere. And as long as you know where your major is, you can resolve it pretty easily. And it's almost like you can't play a wrong one. Nope, that one was definitely wrong. Don't play that one. Alrighty, that's going to be it. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. Hopefully you enjoyed the lesson, got something out of it. Try this tuning. I'm telling you, it's so inspiring, it's so much fun, and well, just like I said before, it doesn't take much learning curve. So grab the tabs down below if you want to. And don't forget, if you are interested in getting those tabs for those intro songs, I'm going to play the full clip here at the very end. All that stuff is for the channel members, so you can check that link down below as well. And I will see you all later. Have a great rest of your day. Yo, see you next Wednesday. Can you dig it, yo? Can you? Whoop!